Good evening and welcome to the Candidates Forum presented and produced by the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. My name is Valerie Nelson and I'm a member of the Northwest Wayne County League of Women Voters. I am also the moderator for this event. Tonight, we welcome the candidates running for Plymouth Township Supervisor. August 6th is a primary election. A voter must choose to either vote the Republican ballot or the Democratic ballot. For this election, crossing over is not allowed. There are two Republican candidates running in the primary election for Plymouth Township Supervisor. Only one candidate will advance to run unopposed in the general election for a four-year term. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We do not support or oppose any candidate running for office. The League does take position on issues after study, so you may see our name attached to an issue that we're advocating or opposing. The League of Women Voters is where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to civic improvement. Membership is open to anyone who's at least 16 years old, and you can join through our websites. The League's main mission is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation in government. One of the ways we do that is by having forums such as this one tonight. The League also provides a nonpartisan voter guide, which can be found online at vote411.org. Only League personnel and the candidates are present at this forum. We solicited questions from the public in advance so that we could ask them at tonight's forum. Questions were screened for clarity, and those which included personal attacks on candidates were eliminated. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates and not of the League of Women Voters. All qualified candidates were invited and are here tonight. All of the candidates have agreed to the format for tonight's forum, which is as follows. Each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute opening statement, a 2-minute response to all questions, and a 2-minute closing statement. The order that candidates speak was determined by a random selection process witnessed by the candidates before the recording of this forum began. We will rotate the order of the candidate who responds to a question first. League member Tony Stokes-Jones is our timer. She'll be holding up cards so that the candidates know when their time is up. The candidate must stop when the stop sign appears. And now we'll get started with our forum. Let's begin with opening statements. Mr. Heisey, can you begin, please?
Certainly, and thank you very much for hosting us here tonight to the League of Women Voters. I appreciate the opportunity to speak directly to the voters of Plymouth Township. My name is Kurt Heisey. I'm the Plymouth Township Supervisor, and I've been in this role now for 8 years. Prior to that, I served as state representative for 6 years. I'm an 18-year resident of Plymouth Township, and I am a licensed practicing attorney in the state of Michigan now for 33 years. You know, 8 years ago, Plymouth Township was a mess. We were under a federal consent agreement. We were being investigated by the Department of Justice. We had a recreation director that was stealing right under our noses. Budgets weren't being done on time. Audits weren't being done on time. We were in jeopardy of losing state funding. We had a that was out of touch. They were intolerant. They were not transparent. And they were really running our community into the ground. We were a laughingstock. I came to the table with a great deal of experience in local, county, and state government. That's where I've been in public sector for the last over 30 years now. And we've turned things around. I'm proud of the record that we've achieved. We're now with balanced budgets. We have a surplus, and we are really financially on the right track, especially in the areas of public safety, and financial stability. So again, I'm Kurt Heisey, Plymouth Township Supervisor. I'd appreciate your consideration on August 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kermey?
Hello, my name is Chuck Kermey. Thank you to the League for organizing this forum today. I'm a 69-year lifelong resident of Plymouth. My wife of 44 years and I raised 4 children in this great place. I spent my career as an automotive product development engineer and program management professional. I have been a leader on the board of trustees for 28 years. This leadership resulted in 2 projects negotiated by me that are currently positively affecting our daily lives: the Sheldon Road Underpass and low-cost sewage treatment at Ypsilanti. I'm a member of Our Lady Good Counsel Catholic Church and a 36-year Kiwanis Club member. I will lead this community relentlessly in a positive direction that preserves our personal and economic well-being and maintains our quality of life and property values. This positive direction is formed by strong, well-staffed and equipped police and fire services and good financial stewardship of all township operations. Our economic development plan will be focused on attracting technology, research, and light manufacturing, and seek to minimize traffic volumes. I will encourage single-family single-story housing development suitable for residents seeking to downsize. As supervisor leading the township requires collaboration across teams managing people, processes, budgets, and timelines, same skills I honed in my automotive professional career. Most of all, I will be focused on you, the residents, and listening to your needs. You are the customer. Thank you for listening today, and please vote on August 6th for me, Chuck Kermy.
Thank you. Now we'll begin the questions portion. Mr. Heisey, the first question is for you. Please provide biographical information and experience which you feel qualifies you for the position of Township Supervisor, and explain why you are running.
Well, I'm running to maintain the positive direction that we've been on now for the last 8 years. 8 years ago, Plymouth Township was a mess. We cleaned up the mess. We're now financially stable. We have a AAA bond rating. We have a $9.5 million fund balance. We have very, very low debt. Our police and fire are now fully funded and fully staffed. With modern equipment, we've reopened Fire Station 2. I come to this table because I've always enjoyed public service. I have 2 law degrees from Wayne State University, my undergrad from the University of Michigan. And I started out as the mayor's deputy and the assistant city attorney in Dearborn Heights in the late 1990s. Then I went on to be the environment director for Wayne County. I was in my mid-30s running a $145 million a year public corporation called the Wayne County Department of Environment. Following that, I ran for state representative, and I served for 6 years as state representative, and all of that time under the governance of Governor Rick Snyder. So we helped turn around Michigan as well and brought Michigan back to financial stability. I bring to the table a wealth of knowledge in public policy, law, and the training that I've learned really just through years of experience in the public sector and in the private sector as well as an attorney. So those skill sets to me are what brings Plymouth Township into the modern era and gets us has fixed the problems that we faced. And I'd like to continue in that role again for 4 years because we still have more work to do. And I think we've done a great job.
Thank you. Mr. Kermy, same question.
I bring 28 years of being on the township board, listening, doing the right thing for our residents and our community. We have progressed tremendously in the 28 years that I've been on the board. We have kept our tax rate low. Some increases that I may have not thought were the greatest, but we're going to move on from that. My concern is that the direction of the township is not in the way that residents would like to see. I don't want us to become a conventional Southeast Michigan suburb that is fraught with traffic problems, crime problems, and as a result, have to increase taxes. Our board meetings allow people input, and I will allow more input. I have negotiated projects, like I mentioned, like the Ypsilanti sewage treatment plant expansion to take our sewer at half the cost of having remained in Detroit. Also, the Sheldon Road agreement that we made between the federal government and the county and city of Plymouth was negotiated by me in the 90s when it then was finally opened in 2008. This leadership qualifies me, in addition to the operational information or ideas that I have from working in the auto industry, managing billion-dollar projects that are extremely complex, that involve many people, thousands of people, and thousands of decisions that have to be made. Project management is a leadership skill that I've honed over the years. and it involves many, many skills that will apply at the township. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question will begin with you, Mr. Kermy. What do you feel are the priority issues facing the township, and what actions would you take to address them?
I'm sorry that the last sentence was garbled.
What actions would you take to address them? That is the priority issues.
First priority is maintaining our services, especially police and fire, within the present tax rate. This can be done with good management. We have a great team of people, and we will continue down that path. I would like to see the tax collection fee deleted. It's $50 to $150, depending on your property each year. We are recovering a great deal of interest now compared with 2022. So we can do this without making cuts. Our major thrust will be in the economic development. I want to refocus on what we've been doing years ago, which is technology and research, light manufacturing. Some of the developments that we've attracted are not going to be paying a lot of tax and not going to be creating career aspirational building jobs. So getting the right mix of economic development is a big priority. An example is of what kind of business we want to attract has come. It's called Nel Hydrogen. It isn't here yet, but it is being talked about and is being heavily subsidized and by the federal and state government. We're looking for this new technology of hydrogen fuel system to be a green solution for heavy truck and locomotive transportation.
Thank you.
Completed. Thank you.
Mr. Heisey, same question.
Sure. Top priorities as I look down the next 4 years, I think the most significant challenge for the township is really a regional challenge, and that is the proposed Salem Township sewage treatment plant. This plant, if built, would dump 840,000 gallons of so-called treated water into the Fellows Creek, which runs through Plymouth and Canton townships. This would be an environmental disaster for our communities as well as an economic one in terms of how it would impact our property values. Our township board has consistently and unanimously opposed the Salem Township Urban Services District and has unanimously opposed any sewage treatment plant going through our communities. I again bring 30 plus years of environmental law and policy to the table as the former environment director for Wayne County, as a university professor, adjunct professor in environmental law and policy at U of M Dearborn, Eastern Michigan, and Wayne State. I bring vast knowledge to the table with the proper connections really that you need in Lansing, in Washington, in Detroit, in Wayne County to address that issue, which I do think is critical to our long-term property values and security. It's no easy fix, and I want to do something to that. We have to address that sewage issue based on science and data, not with lobbyists, not with politicians, certainly not with lawyers, but we have to be prepared if it comes to that. I bring that experience again to the table to be able to address those issues head on and negotiate intelligently and forcefully on behalf of the residents of Plymouth Township, not on behalf of developers in other communities.
Thank you. Mr. Heisey, we'll begin the next question with you. What was your position on the racetrack that was proposed for the township, and what would you suggest this property be used for now that the current board has vetoed the track?
Sure. Well, we have to go back to the principles of private property rights. Okay. So this property at one point was owned by Wayne County and the city of Detroit. A long story, try to make it short. It was eventually sold to a private developer that cleared the land, built in water and sewer, and made it into an industrial park. Northfield Downs, when their lease expired in the city, They bought this property, which was their right. They bought it for $9.5 million, and they proposed a racetrack facility at that location. We have to comply with the law. We can't pick winners and losers for political purposes. So we worked with the developers, we worked with the Carlo brothers, who were the racetrack owners, and we set upon two separate things. One, we demanded a planned unit development contract with them. The second thing is we demanded a community benefits agreement. We recognized the uniqueness of this project and the fact that there would be community pushback and concern about this project. So we wanted to make sure that we got the best value for this investment that they were going to make in our community. Bottom line is, with all due respect, they never had the money. The promises that they made, they couldn't keep. And when we insisted that they sign a community benefits agreement, they walked from the table. So if we negotiated a tough deal, and that was a unanimous decision by our board of trustees to do that, we acted in good faith, and we hope now that they will act. They are actively selling the property right now, and we are confident that they will be able to sell it, especially with NEL hydrogen coming in and so many of the other great developments happening on the 5 Mile corridor.
Thank you. Mr. Kermy?
Will you repeat the question?
Of course. What was your position on the racetrack that was proposed for the township, and what would you suggest this property be used for now that the current board has vetoed the track?
My position on the track was the only person who voted no on the township board, the PUD. I realized early that this was not good for Plymouth Township. It may have morphed into a casino, which was part of the original drawings that were withdrawn just before the Planning Commission submission. This is an obsolete business model. The property, as a correction, was once owned by Plymouth Township, received in a tax sale from a developer, and then it was sold to the current, well, not the current owner, the one who developed it as a technology business park. This was a deal that we invited, and now we have the $10 million lawsuit to settle. I will be the right person to settle that. We do not want this development in our community. I think it's overwhelming. I've never seen an issue this divisive in Plymouth Township history. It is not good for our brand. It rips at the fabric of our community, and it needs to go. So long-term, this building, this piece of land should be used for its original intention, technology and research. And I think it will help that we have a hub of hydrogen research here that will allow land available for future development. And that's exactly what I said on the night I voted no. Be patient. Something good will come. And that is what's happening. I'm done.
Thank you. Mr. Kermy, what is a lesson learned from the racetrack, Elks property, and Meyer development that you can apply to future decisions?
The biggest lesson is getting more input and going a little slower. In the case of the horse track, we moved very fast. It was the fastest project I've ever seen, from Planning Commission to actually board approval on a PUD. In the case of Elks project, we need to listen to the residents much more. We don't want to have we ended up with a through road in exchange for some paving. I think the neighbors in that area will be totally disappointed with the transformation of their neighborhood. So the biggest lesson learned is taking input from the residents, all parties concerned. Yes, I'm a big advocate of private property rights, but we need to balance what little land we have with the project to ensure it blends with the community and maintains the brand, the feel, the fabric of the community. And what we've done lately is going to rip that up. With 1,000 residents in there, with a through road from Ann Arbor Road to Ann Arbor Trail, it will mimic another road we have called Tavistock, which for 60 years has disappointed residents because of a through situation. Bad for dogs, bad for kids. I'm done.
Thank you. Mr. Heisey, same question.
Sure. I think when you look at the Elks Lodge property and also Myers, two things really pop up into my mind, and both of them are brownfield sites. These are contaminated sites. The Elks Lodge property was zoned industrial, still is zoned industrial, and could have been used for far more intrusive uses in that particular neighborhood. It is also, again, a contaminated site, a brownfield site. Same thing is true with Myers. Myers is going to be built on the old Tohoku prison site, and that is also contaminated as it was built in the 1930s and has lots of asbestos and other things underground. The lesson learned really for both projects is, again, a respect for private property rights. The Elks Lodge property was bought by a private developer called Pomeroy in about 2012 timeframe. He originally wanted to put senior residential housing there. So that's basically what we've got again, once again, at that location. But we were able to leverage that project, the Elks Lodge project, to pave the neighborhood to the north. The people to the north are going to get their roads paved. They're going to get new sidewalks. They're going to get storm sewers installed. And they deserve the same kind of quality of life that you and I have in Plymouth Township. As far as the Myers project goes, I would just invite people to watch the June Planning Commission meeting from 2023. It's over 3 hours. And ask yourself, watch the whole thing, and ask yourself, did Myers get due process? Were they treated fairly under the law? Bottom line is they weren't. They were denied due process. They were denied any opportunity to appeal to the board at that time. So they exercised their legal rights under state law, and they sued us in Wayne County Circuit Court, and they prevailed because we hired a retired judge from the Michigan Court of Appeals, and he worked out a compromise between us and Myers, and he met with us in closed session and told us this is the best deal we're going to get to have Myers there. The lesson learned on Myers is respect private property rights, treat people fairly, don't railroad them, and don't pick winners and losers when it comes to development.
Thank you. Mr. Heisey, Plymouth Township does not have a recreation department. That means little or no funding for youth or senior activities. What is your position on that situation?
Well, when I ran for supervisor in 2016, I did propose a joint recreation authority with the city of Plymouth. And the city has since kind of gone in their own direction and is now proposing another millage on the November ballot in the city, simply for the city's recreational purposes. But I think that there should be a way for the city and the township to have some kind of a seamless transition for our residents to utilize the assets that both communities have. They have an ice arena. We have a golf course. They're going to get more pickleball. We would like more pickleball. They have PARC, the PARC, which is a public-private partnership, and it's privately run as a nonprofit. We need to make greater use of PARC. I supported PARC throughout my 8 years as supervisor because they provide critical recreation, arts, and cultural services to our community, the whole Plymouth community. We really need to expand on that theme, and we have to do it frankly, without raising taxes in Plymouth Township. Our residents have made that clear, that we have to live within our means. So we have to be creative. We've created partnerships with Plymouth Canton Little League, with the Plymouth Rain Soccer Club, Plymouth Canton Little League, and our senior council that provides services for our community. So we have to be innovative because frankly, our recreation department doesn't exist. And it really just boils down to some dedicated part-time people who mow the lawn and clean the trash cans and make sure that our parks are looking great. Obviously, we had to privatize our golf course, and we're running a profit there now for the first time in history. And so, again, I'm proud of what we've accomplished, but there's a lot more that we could do collaboratively with the city.
Thank you. Mr. Kermy, same question.
Recreation is more important than ever today, and we learned that during COVID. I'm an advocate of recreation, but I'm not advocating establishing our own department. I want to leverage partnerships with City of Plymouth, Canton, PARC, using our facilities and their facilities in a coordinated manner. We don't have as many children as we had when I was young in Plymouth Township. So now we have fewer potential users. Also, with high-end sports, a lot of parents are selecting private options throughout the metropolitan area. So we don't have quite the pressure for high-end sports activity here. The last 25 years, we've tried to do things. I want to do more with the city of Plymouth, and I think that will happen if I'm elected. We want to make sure that we live within our means, of course, and not seek millage. Seniors are one area where recreation is important, with people living much longer and more active much later in life. Working on that is a priority that we should be seeking solutions to by involving the people who are most effective. That's the seniors. I'm done.
Thank you. Mr. Kermy, many of the residents have voiced the wish for less taxes while also asking for increased services. What is your plan to move the township ahead with these competing interests?
I'm an advocate of that. In fact, in the auto industry, you always seek higher quality at lower cost. I'm an expert. So I've advocated reducing the tax collection fee, which we'll get in that bill this week on your tax bill, or excuse me, next week, 1%. I would advocate taking that away and then seeking efficiencies elsewhere. Our fund balance is growing. We have very creative employees. We have ways to continue services, improve services, yet not raise taxes. I'm not an advocate of raising taxes or fees. Living with maintaining our services in this current level that we have now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Heisey?
Well, everybody wants great services and low taxes, don't we all? And the reality is that like our household budgets, the township's budgets increase as inflation increases, as demands come down on us from collective bargaining agreements, and also just the cost of doing business. Everything that we do has increased over the last couple of years, as everybody else's has. We've been able to survive that, frankly, by just frankly working smarter. We are a very lean operation. Plymouth Township has about 100 employees, of which 2/3 are public safety, police, fire, dispatch. We've had to outsource some of our services, like human resources. We're one of the few communities that has outsourced human services, human relations. As I've said earlier, we've had to work out agreements and contracts with other nonprofits on recreational activities. When I do the budget for Plymouth Township, I sit down with the department heads every summer. We hold public hearings, and then we vote on that budget in November. It wasn't always that way. Budgets were basically done in secret and were dumped on the Board of Trustees at the last minute. Audits weren't being done on time. We've cleaned all that up, and we're now looking at a AAA credit rating. Our debt is very low, and we are financially in very, very good, strong condition right now. Are there going to be challenges in the future? Yeah, because, for example, in public safety, we have very few people now who want to get into the police department or in the fire services. And so we have to compete now with Livonia and Canton and Northville, communities that are offering more to the employees than we are. But again, we run a very lean operation. I don't have a deputy. I'm in the office every day. My phone's on all the time, and we have to live by example, and that's what we do in Plymouth Township.
Thank you. Mr. Heisey, what would be your 5 to 10 year development vision for the township?
Well, Plymouth Township is actually a very well-developed, planned out community. If you look at us on a map, we have very well designated industrial areas. Obviously, almost everything north of M14 is light industrial or commercial or retail. And that's what we call a master plan. It's a master zoning plan, and we do a very good job of adhering to that. Are there exceptions that have to be drawn from time to time? Yeah, certainly. But I think as long as we stick to that master plan and be flexible, recognizing the fact that we want to expand our tax base, because the more our tax base expands, the less likely that we have to ask for a tax increase. I also believe in creating jobs. I'm a Republican. I remember when creating jobs was a good thing. And we want to make sure that we are creating good jobs, whether they are high end or low end. Everybody has to start somewhere. And so we encourage uh, wonderful companies like Rivian, companies like Webasto, and of course NEL Hydrogen that are going to be really great paying jobs. But we're also providing employment for folks along the Ann Arbor Road corridor in healthcare. Think about Henry Ford Hospital, a $90 million project. It was one of the crown jewels of Western Wayne County. Even the Amazon facility. These are folks that are starting in new jobs. They're making money. They're moving up the ladder. And so I think it's our responsibility as public officials to make sure that everybody in our community has a chance to succeed and thrive.
Thank you, Mr. Heisey. Mr. Kermy, same question. Mr. Kermy, you're muted.
Would you repeat it, please? I'm getting a lot of interference from the background. It's
Certainly.
breaking up or
Certainly.
pixelizing almost.
What would your 5 to 10 year development vision be for the township?
To increase the technology and research, light manufacturing jobs and businesses that we have here. The M14, north of M14 plan for those types of businesses has long been in place, and I want to accelerate it. We don't have a lot of land, greenfield sites to be allowed for new development, so there may have to be some tear downs in some cases. Also, maybe on the residential side, there may be a lot of infill, or maybe like the city of Plymouth, some tear downs going on. We already have some indications of that south of Ann Arbor Road. So attracting single-story residential for residents who want to remain here and downsize has become a challenge, finding affordable housing that meets their long-term needs and still staying here. Jobs, yes, we want jobs, but we want jobs that hopefully encourage people to be able to live in Plymouth and stay here, their children, our children, and having that long-term experience with those type of jobs here in Plymouth Township. I'd like to continue that and accelerate it. We have some land at MITC, and that's where I want to see the remaining land go, not warehouses, not retail or big box, things like that. Let's refocus on what we were good at. I'm done.
Thank you. Mr. Kermy, is transparency an issue in Plymouth Township government? Why or why not?
Yes, I think it is an issue. And I'd say the horse track is a good example. When you look at the complaint filed, there's a lot of indications there that the activity was going on long before the board knew about it. So having more open discussions on development and other things in public, it would make the meetings a little longer. I know I ask a lot of questions. One of the reasons I ask questions is because we don't have all the story right up front in an executive summary or something that is succinct. It would make it easier for the board to better understand and the public. So yes, we have a transparency issue, especially on the development side of the business, and I would improve that tremendously. I would also allow residents to speak on the agenda item in addition to 3 minutes before. On non-agenda items, 3 minutes during when we're talking about the item, and then 3 minutes at the end. Getting our staff to also communicate with the public is a good thing too. We want to encourage them to be out there at board meetings and talking to us and them. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Mr. Heisey?
Yeah, well, again, 8 years ago, transparency did not exist in Plymouth Township. I remember having to sit up on a Sunday night or a Monday morning waiting for the agenda to finally be posted online. We post agendas now on a Friday morning, 5 days before the board meeting takes place. We obviously have public comment throughout the board meeting at the beginning and the end. We also, another thing I'm very proud of is when I came into office in 2017, we created a Citizens Advisory Council. And this was a volunteer organization. I think we had over 100 people apply at first, and it kind of dwindled down to maybe about 50, but that's still pretty good. A lot of the ideas and suggestions that were created by the Citizens Advisory Council helped to form our agenda for the next really 8 years. We're still implementing some of the goals. We also had a joint recreation master plan with the city of Plymouth that had never been done before. That involved the public at a very high level as well. As far as looking back at the at economic development, we are restricted by state law. We comply with all Open Meetings Act requirements, all notice requirements. In the case of the racetrack, I can't think of a case where we had so many public meetings. We had several public meetings in front of the Planning Commission. We had, I believe, at least 2 votes by the Board of Trustees. I think 3 votes by the Planning Commission. So that was very well vetted throughout the whole process. And that's our obligation under state law. That's nothing unique to us. But as far as transparency goes, again, look at the budget process, fully transparent. We hold public hearings throughout the fall on our budgets. We have an annual audit meeting that is open to the public. So we are far more transparent than where we were 8 years ago.
Thank you. This next question will be our final question. Mr. Heisey, what more should the community do to attract and cultivate small businesses?
Sure. Well, I have a tremendous relationship with the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce, and that really represents a lot of your small businesses that are looking to settle in the community. A great example is the Manos Clothiers that have moved here from Dearborn. They've taken the old trading post site and turned that into a really dynamic entrant to the Ann Arbor Road corridor. I think we have to be proactive to make sure that Plymouth Township is a welcoming community and that we're not picking winners and losers. There's this sense that government has the ability to point at different parcels and say, you're going to be here and you're going to be there. It doesn't work that way. We have to be accommodating to new businesses that are coming into our community and not judge them by how nice their job is going to be or how attractive that's going to be to our own personal viewpoints, but what they're going to add to our community in terms of improving our tax base, creating jobs, and making our community more attractive. Great example of that is Henry Ford Hospital. There are thousands of communities across the country with these big box stores that are going to be vacant for decades. We were proactive. We worked with the developer. We worked with Henry Ford Hospital, and we did that during the peak of COVID. We kept our doors open to make sure that they had the assistance they needed from us to build that fantastic facility there on Ann Arbor Road. That doesn't happen by picking winners and losers. It comes by being collaborative, proactive, always by obeying the law and obeying private property rights. And I think we are the envy, really, of our neighbors in Wayne County, and we want to keep it that way. We're moving in the right direction.
Thank you. Mr. Kermy?
Small business is the backbone of new job creation in this country. So I am a huge advocate of small business. One of the ways to attract them is to make the approval process streamlined and our building department flexible. We are doing much of that already. Small business oftentimes will be locating in infill type facilities or taking over an existing one. So there'll be demolition and things like that. So making sure that they have a good roadmap to achieve their timing and not have the project drag out is extremely important, especially for small business who are oftentimes cash constrained and have bank loans that have to be met regularly. We're doing a great job at this. We need to do more. And I think that cooperation with Schoolcraft College, which does training to encourage businesses to move here to get and tap into Schoolcraft College training, for example. Our high schools, I don't know if we have co-op programs anymore or more skilled trades. I would encourage that leverage. so that our businesses would be able to attract employees, which is a huge challenge. Helping them streamline the hiring process by getting these networked relationships will go a long way to getting them up and running as quickly as possible. I don't advocate picking winners and losers. I am a strong advocate of free market capitalism, and I want to keep it that way. But there just occasionally there has to be some zoning in general is a constraint. We don't have a Houston-style zoning law, which has no restrictions. So there are some workarounds that have to be done. But we work with people, and we will continue to do that to attract more and more small business and attract employees to them.
Thank you. Mr. Kermy, would you like to begin your opening or closing statement?
Yes. I am not a politician. I'm a business professional and a resident with a civic heart and a passion for Plymouth. Please vote for me, Chuck Kermy, on August 6th and place Plymouth Township in the hands of a leader with integrity and experience. No special interests or hidden agendas, just driving simple, transparent government that efficiently serves the needs of our residents, community, and region. Thanks for listening, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for setting this up today.
Thank you. Mr. Heisey?
Again, thank you to the League for hosting us here tonight. Appreciate the time that you've put into this, and also the time for the public to watch us in real time. Plymouth Township, like I said before, 8 years ago, this place was a mess, and we've cleaned that up, and we're moving in the right direction, and we are on the right track. We're doing that by working smarter and working more efficiently and putting people first. Economic development is the lifeblood of a community, and without it, communities become stagnant. What we've been doing right now in Plymouth Township over the last 8 years is smart growth, making sure that we create jobs, that we improve our tax base, and that we clean up environmentally contaminated sites. Most of the projects that we've talked about today involve the cleanup of brownfield sites, of contaminated sites in our community. We have to do what's right by the environment to make sure that we leave Plymouth Township cleaner than where we found it. We also have challenges. We've talked about the Salem project, and that's just one of the many things that we'll be addressing in the next couple of years.
Thank you, Mr. Heisey. Thank you both. We thank the League of Women Voter members who helped with this forum. The forum has been recorded, and you can soon view it on the League's website, lwvnorthwestwayne.org. Please note that the ownership of the recording or transcript resides with the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. The candidates or their supporters may not use portions of the forum or any audio clips, video clips, or transcripts for political advertising or other purposes without the written permission of the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. We also thank the candidates who are running for office. They're asking for your support as they seek a job in the public service sector, and we hope voters will listen to their views. We also appreciate the voters in Plymouth Township who are watching this forum to learn about their choices in the primary election. Each of these candidates were also invited to participate in the League of Women Voters Voter Guide, a publication that you can access online by visiting vote411.org. The League of Women Voters is providing this forum as an opportunity for candidates to express their views related to their candidacy. Statements expressed by the candidates are not endorsed nor opposed by the League of Women Voters. Also, the League of Women Voters does not certify any candidate responses to questions as accurate. Voters are encouraged to fact-check information shared at the forum. Election Day is August 6th. If you're not registered to vote, you can do so up through Election Day. Within 14 days of the election, registration must be done at the office of your township clerk. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day, but all registered voters can vote early by absentee ballot or at an early voting site. If you're voting by absentee ballot and have not already requested to be on the permanent absentee ballot list, you'll need to fill out an application first. If you need an absentee ballot application, you can get one at the Township Clerk's office or online at the Michigan Secretary of State website. Voters in Michigan can also vote during early voting. At early voting locations, voters will have the opportunity to vote and insert their own ballot into the tabulator. For the August election, early voting is open 9 consecutive days from 9 to 5, beginning Saturday, July 27th, and ending Sunday, August 4th, at the following location in Plymouth Township: Risen Christ Church at 46250 Ann Arbor Road. This concludes our forum for this evening. Thank you, candidates, for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.